The cream hasn't spoiled. Come on, hurry up and eat. It's so good.
Two women were filmed scavenging cake scraps from a trash bin, eating as they went and repeatedly exclaiming how delicious it was. While eating, they continued to dig deeper into the trash, occasionally letting out excited screams as if they had made a new discovery. Another video shows the same women searching through a neighborhood trash bin in the early morning to find snacks, addressing the recent shortage of snacks at home.
No need to pick and choose, just pack it all in. They are all really good. And look, there's no big packaging. Everything's in small packages. Also, these Liu Mei snacks, aren't they great? Why not take them? I really like these.
At this point, a man walked by, filming the two women as they dug through the trash. Caught two people picking through trash. What are you looking for?
A lot of food. There are even energy biscuits. A lot of them are not expired.
Isn't this your favorite salted chicken?
Yeah, I'm already drooling.
Just take the whole pack.
No, the bottom is trash.
There's trash mixed in.
Look, we've got a big bag already.
You're taking it all back, right?
Yep, just picking it up right now. If you were any later, the sanitation workers will be here.
The cleaners probably started around 4 a.m., right?
Looks like it's good to go home, a little late after all.
Later, the man appeared to join them, helping the women search for items to take home. Here's a carpet. It's really new. Is the bottom a bit damp? Shouldn't be too bad. What's this? A bag of rice. Free rice. This can be used. Let's try to grab that rice. Wow, there's even a Snickers bar. Good thing we're going home late today. We were out at 4 a.m. picking through trash. Wow, so much stuff. It's like we're stocking up. This should last us a month. One of the women commented that there hadn't been any good snacks at home recently, and she didn't expect to find so much that night. Who would have thought that it would no longer be just people with disabilities or the homeless searching for food in the trash? Now, even young, able-bodied people are doing it. This shift can be attributed to the worsening economy and rising unemployment. Many young people are unable to find jobs after graduating, while numerous middle-aged workers are laid off and forced to take on delivery or ride-hailing jobs. Meanwhile, private companies continue to close down. In Guangdong, a business owner shared a video discussing the unemployment situation she had encountered.
Do you know how many people are unemployed in Zhanjiang after the new year? After the holidays, my small company had to fill 5 positions, and we received nearly 1,000 resumes every week. I was really shocked. I realized that the job market in Zhanjiang is really bad right now. A while ago, we moved to a new office and hired a removalist. The guy said that most of the jobs he's handled in the last 2 years are from companies that went bankrupt. Some companies, many people were working in the morning, and by the afternoon they received notice of layoffs and the team was disbanded. There's nothing we can do. The economy is bad and the performance is poor. A lot of people used to look down on delivery and courier jobs because they're tiring and not glamorous. But now many people in Zhanjiang are fighting to do those jobs, and a lot of women are doing them too. There's no choice. Life has to go on. And at least it's better than street vending. The street market might look busy, but there's a lot of hustle and bustle. And in the end, the money you make is less than what you would earn working for someone else. So if you can get a stable job where you can get paid on time every month and have weekends off, I really suggest you cherish it.
Another HR professional shares with his wife what he had observed in his job about the current unemployment crisis.
现在这个就业市场供需太不平衡了。
The job market supply and demand are so unbalanced right now. The moment I posted a job, I get a pile of resumes. Like today, I posted a position before leaving work, and just 3 hours later, I checked and already had over 100 resumes. I went through them, and a lot of people have been unemployed since 2024. They've been out of work for several months, even half a year, and many of them have good backgrounds from big companies. In this situation, it's impossible to find a job in the first year.
Yes, now our hospital is even requiring PhDs. We recently had a new doctor join one of our departments with a PhD. Even for nurses, now they require core SCI papers to get promoted.
You know, a few years ago, recruiting wasn't like this. When we were hiring, the resumes we got from job seekers didn't really help. We had to actively search for people. And back then, when people switched jobs, it was all about getting a salary increase, usually 30 to 50%. But now, if you want to switch jobs, salary increases aren't even a thought. If it doesn't go down, that's already good enough.
Even getting a flat salary is impressive now.
Yeah, if it doesn't drop, that's really a win. So the job market is still really tough. And now, it's already April. The traditional Golden 3, Silver 4 recruitment season seems to be a bust this year. So I think for those still looking for jobs, they really need to plan ahead and consider other options. Unemployment in China has become a major concern in recent years. The withdrawal of foreign investment, coupled with the collapse of many private businesses, has worsened the situation. The new tariffs imposed by the US have added further pressure on China's economy. A scholar on population issues and a senior researcher at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Fuxian, recently published an analysis warning that China may face an unemployment crisis. On April 3rd and 4th, Yi posted multiple analyses on the platform X, noting that China and the US's manufacturing surpluses and deficits are mirror images of each other. He argued that China's reliance on manufacturing exports has become a central issue in US-China relations. Yi explained that China's manufacturing surplus is largely dependent on the US market, supporting over 200 million jobs in the country. At the same time, the US needs to reduce its trade deficit to revive its own manufacturing industry, raising the export-to-import ratio from 64% to over 80%. He pointed out that the US's broad tariff policies, particularly measures targeting ASEAN countries, are cutting off China's re-export trade, which will shrink China's trade surplus, hurt its manufacturing industry, and lead to a growing unemployment crisis. He arrived at a conclusion: if China is to navigate through its current crisis, it must increase the share of disposable income in GDP from 44% to 60 to 70%, and raise the consumption rate from 38% to 60%. But such reforms would be even more difficult than the 1978 opening up, as they would not only disrupt economic resource distribution, but also shake up the current political and social structures. He said, "This is a high-voltage line that the system is unwilling to touch." The comments section saw strong reactions. One commenter pointed out, "The Chinese system is destined to fall into the middle-income trap." Another angrily questioned, "China can spend on vaccines and military ships, but the people can't even afford food. Is raising consumption really a disruptive reform?" Another user commented, "If the people's income isn't increased, how can stability be maintained? If they can spend on high-speed rail, aircraft carriers, and overseas infrastructure projects, where is that money coming from? The real estate bubble and the one-child policy have already drained the future potential. The descendants of the Red generation are already enjoying life in the West, leaving behind a sinking mess." Yi Fuxian predicts that as the US stabilizes its new trade balance, the global trade landscape will be reshaped. In the coming years, there will be a window of opportunity for countries to compete for a share of the US trade surplus. Yi's mention of the US's comprehensive tariff policy refers to President Trump's official announcement on April 2nd of the Liberation Day tariffs, which imposed tariffs on all goods imported into the US. This move has shocked the global economy. China has become one of the main targets, with accumulated tariffs rising to 54%, while ASEAN countries, except for Brunei and Singapore, are facing tariffs ranging from 24% to 49%. Xinhua News Agency reported on Trump's reciprocal tariffs, but only listed the tariffs imposed on other countries, deliberately avoiding mentioning of the 34% tariff increase on China in an attempt to deflect attention. However, during the Chinese Foreign Ministry press conference on April 3rd, a reporter directly raised the issue of the US's new 34% tariff on China, forcing the Chinese government to respond. On April 4th, China announced that from April 10, it would impose a 34% tariff on all imports from the US. At the same time, China announced the suspension of products from 6 US companies. But China has been unable to engage in a truly reciprocal tariff war. The tariffs imposed by Trump on Chinese goods have already reached 54%, while China's retaliatory tariffs are only 34%. This combined with the previous tariffs of 10% or 15% on some US products still doesn't match the scale of the US's tariffs. The update came on April 7 when President Trump posted, "Yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 34%, on top of their already record-setting tariffs, non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation, despite my warning that any country that retaliates against the US by issuing additional tariffs, above and beyond the already existing long-term tariff abuse of our nation, will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs over and above those initially set." Trump added, "Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, April 8, 2025, the United States will impose additional tariffs on China of 50%, effective April 9th. Additionally, all talks with China concerning the requested meetings with us will be terminated. Negotiations with other countries, which have also requested meetings, will begin taking place immediately." Commenter Yang Wei already did the math. According to U.S. global trade outlets, in 2024, the U.S. imported approximately $438.9 billion worth of goods from China and exported about $143.5 billion to China. If 2025 levels remain similar, the U.S. is effectively imposing tariffs on $438.9 billion worth of Chinese goods, estimating the additional 145% tariffs to be around $636 billion. China is attempting to reduce its imports from the U.S. If it maintains the 2024 level, its retaliatory 125% tariffs on the U.S. could be around $180 billion. Yang Wei pointed out that the difference between the two figures is too large. China knows it cannot implement reciprocal tariffs, it's just posturing for domestic reasons. But most Chinese officials and the public now understand the reality, and soon they will realize that the US's tariffs on China have reached 145%, while China's response is clearly ineffective, showing a lack of competence. The tariffs announced by the US are only half of the intended reciprocal rate, so Trump is still holding a large advantage. China is attempting to fight a losing tariff battle, which will cause China's economy to plummet even further. Yang believes that with the continued instability in China, Trump may have seized a moment when China's weakness is most apparent, quickly launching the full tariff measures. This will accelerate the collapse of the CCP significantly. As Fuxian mentioned earlier, the US is focusing on revitalizing its own manufacturing sector because it realizes it has lost its position as a global manufacturing leader. From World War II until the early 1970s, the United States saw the peak of its industrial power. In the 1950s, the US accounted for more than 40% of the global manufacturing output, far surpassing all other countries, especially in heavy industries, where it was a global manufacturing leader. However, starting in the 1970s, with the rise of economic globalization, US manufacturing began moving overseas, and the country entered an era of reliance on the global supply chain. By 2020, manufacturing share of the US GDP had fallen to about 11%. China's international news channel, Nanwen Guangjie, analyzed that the hollowing of the US manufacturing has reached a level that threatens national security. The recent reciprocal tariff policy marks the Trump administration's first step in bringing manufacturing back to the US. Its goal is to restore the US's dominant manufacturing position. Without manufacturing, everything else is irrelevant. Trump's efforts to revive US manufacturing also aim to limit the outflow of China's manufacturing capacity. Taiwan's macroeconomist Wu Jialong wrote that Trump's reciprocal tariffs, if closely examined, specifically target the so-called third-party countries used by China to circumvent tariffs, such as Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. These countries act as intermediaries where products are manufactured or assembled before being exported to the US. Simply put, Chinese companies can no longer use these countries to indirectly export to the US, as they now face tariffs too. Globalization has effectively ended, and the international division of labor is being reshaped. The US is aiming to re-emerge as a manufacturing power and reclaim its status as a manufacturing giant. With the revival of US manufacturing, the decline and shrinkage of China's manufacturing industry is inevitable. This leads back to Fuxian's point, where China's trade surplus will shrink, manufacturing will decline, and unemployment will rise. This crisis will likely result in the loss of over 200 million jobs that once supported the manufacturing industry. This is a significant chapter in the economic history of the Chinese people. Taiwan media reports that the US's actions may lead to a shift in the world's manufacturing hub. The executive director of the Asia-Pacific Chamber of Commerce, Chu Da-shen, said, "In the future, the most likely candidate to become the world's factory is Mexico. If Mexico aligns with the USMCA rules, it could continue to enjoy related benefits. If the world's manufacturing hub shifts, it will inevitably affect China's employment." Chu pointed out that China currently has a high youth unemployment rate. China's National Bureau of Statistics recently reported that the unemployment rate for urban youth aged 16 to 24, excluding students, reached 16.9% in February, a new high in nearly 4 months. In June of this year, a new group of university graduates, about 12.2 million, will also face unemployment. Associate Professor of Economics Zhang Dandan at Peking University published research in 2023 indicating that China's actual youth unemployment rate could reach as high as 46.5%, far exceeding the 21.3% official figure for 2023. Professor Ding-Shu Liang, a retired professor from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, recently wrote in the Hong Kong media Xingbao that nearly 30 million Chinese university graduates are unemployed. The actual employment rate is far lower than the official claim of 56%, with some universities reporting employment rates as low as 20%. China's official data shows that in 2023, the number of flexible employment workers reached 200 million, making up 14.3% of the national workforce. Flexible employment refers to temporary work after unemployment, which cannot be considered stable employment. It is essentially unemployment. With 200 million people in the manufacturing sector now unemployed, China's unemployment base continues to grow. Whether young, middle-aged, or elderly, the unemployment group will keep expanding uncontrollably, and the day when people can no longer afford food may not be far off. This is why we are seeing scenes like the one in the opening video, with young people searching through trash bins for food. The future for many Chinese people looks grim, at least for a while. Still, looking on the bright side, in such desperate times, people may rise up in resistance. Let's hope the people of China will awaken soon.